So today, the last session, one of the last sessions in the day, we thought, what can we do to present what we're actually doing? And we wanted to do a no bullshit session and talk about our process, the things we've learned, how we work, mistakes we make. And I'm pushing the guys here to be open, blunt, direct, and just talk honestly about our process in the Android team. So Shime is a team lead. Tomislav is a team lead, and Dino is just the senior developer. I'm sorry, Dino. So one day. So we'll talk about more. You'll get to know them through our session. So just a brief intro about Five. So we're currently a 95 people team. All of our development team is in Zagreb. So all of the guys are in Zagreb, except maybe Split. But yeah, but it's Zagreb so far, in progress. The clients who we're working with are all in the States, and this is where our expertise comes from, whether it's from Rhapsody, Rosetta Stone, Web Summit, or a bunch of other projects that we've done in the last year or so. And this is what we want to talk about. Just a couple of our clients. I think the guys have been working on Rhapsody, Rosetta, Squarespace, Penguin Random House, Farmigo, and Miniature of Sound. This is the team here, I think, has touched these projects. And so when we want to give you an example of something, we'll most likely be talking about those clients, but we'll be so polite that we won't mention their names, most likely. Okay. So we thought this would be an interactive session. Interactive, not in a way that I ask them questions and they respond, but just feel free to jump in at any time. This whole setup is meant to be informal and just ask away. If you have any tough questions, anything that pops to your mind, and you just want to see, have these guys solve this? Are they still struggling with it? Or if they haven't even seen that problem, fire away. So just let's start with a couple of easy questions. Guys, how are our teams organized? Tomislav, what's our team organization? What's the setup? How does that work?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, actually, we have few teams and we have a sister firm, but currently we are talking about our core team.
Yeah.
And
what's a typical team size?
There are 10 to 15.
Okay.
Like
typical project size? Project team size?
Project team size 2 to 5. Okay, there are 7 of us on one project, but I think that more people would be overkill or just very difficult to handle
and to manage. Dino, what tools are we using? Just a couple of tools just to get everyone on the same page. What's your daily usage of what's your routine?
Yeah, so we have to check everything, log everything in Jira.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's a little pain in the ass. So
how much time do you spend on that? How much time do you spend on that per day?
I don't know, not very much, but...
Then what's the problem?
There's a worse tool, so...
Yeah, we were on Redmine for a while, now we are on Jira.
There's even worse tool than Redmine.
Don't wait till end of the month to log hours, and it will be easier.
So you're logging hours. I'll come back to that later. So what are the other tools that you're using?
We are using Slack for communication. We tried others. Slack proved to be the best. Skype for calls. I don't know. Did I miss?
Hangout, maybe sometimes. Nah.
I think Squarespace uses Hangouts only.
Yeah, that team uses Hangouts. Shime, you have a different setup. You have a distributed team. How does that work?
Well, just to give you a quick background from my side in my team, we're working on a project that's been a while for like 8 years, something like that, on Android Market and now Google Play. So it's a big app with 3 million paying customers, and there's a lot of legacy code and stuff in it. So it's a completely different story than the work that the core team does. They are more of a up to 6 month projects and stuff like that. So we're basically dealing with legacy code. We are moving slowly but precisely, and we're using stuff like Rally. So that's the one that's worse than Jira and Redmine put together. Probably the slowest web app that I've ever seen. We're using standard stuff like GitHub. And that's pretty much it. Designers use Zeppelin, Vision, and stuff like that. So nothing, basically an industry standard. We're trying to be a little bit conservative, but stay up to date with the latest technology. So
Okay.
The
What's your team
organization
setup?
of-
Yeah, what's your team setup?
The organization of my team is, well, I have a lot of experience with working remotely with US-based companies. Before I joined Five, I was working for Boston companies, and I have a long experience in 6-hour time, in actually
6-hour time difference.
working
Yeah.
on a 6-hour time difference. So when I came to Five, shortly after I came there, did a couple of projects, and then Luka gave me the unique opportunity to work on a 9-hour time difference, which was very nice, because now I didn't even have those 2 hours of overlap. So what we do, basically, we have a distributed team with most of the engineers in Croatia, which is easier than the other way around, because product owners and managers are over there. It's a better setup than vice versa, because they need to do a lot of heavy communication with the upper management and clients and stuff like that. So basically, I'm a team lead here. Most of the developers are in Croatia, and we are basically a partner, and we are a part of the company. So we are at Five, but are actually a part of Rhapsody.
It's fine. Our slides are dead, so we're on our own. No, I'm just kidding. Never mind. So anyway, the slides were pretty simple. It would just to guide the discussion, but nothing extra. Okay, Shima, just another question. How do you work with those guys who are in Seattle, a 9-hour difference?
Well,
what's your daily routine? When do you do stand-ups?
Yeah,
do you do stand-ups?
Since all the engineers are in Croatia, I try to empower them to go directly to all the different people in the team that they need some info from. So I do not serve as a peer to them for communication and stuff like that. I'm only doing it on a daily stand-up, because I don't want my guys to be working all day and all night. And I try that they only work in normal hours, and I'm the one that joins the stand-up.
And when is that stand-up?
It's 6 or 7 p.m. Croatian time. So it's not so good when your wife plans something at that hour, but she's now used to it. So.
Do you wake up late? I mean, when you come to work?
Usually not. I try to organize my day in a way that I always work in normal 8 hours, but then I usually am up in the morning, like in normal hours, and then have a break in the middle of the day, and then come back and do the meetings. The most important thing in such a setup is to effectively communicate. So every team member, both in US and in Croatia, needs to know how to communicate certain problems or discuss issues. I am a firm believer in doing it through the project management system, because you need to have a single source of truth, and if everything is in one place, then everyone knows where to look at it. So we have been more or less successful at it, but we're trying. Also, another thing, a good tip is to do as much video calls as you can, because when you put a face behind a name, it's a completely different story. Also, when you collaborate with and when you work in distributed teams, it's always good to have people go overseas and the guys from the States come here. You get some bonding. You get to know each other. You know it's a similar culture. We're all in the part of the Western world, but there are differences, and in that way we understand each other better. So it's much better if you have that personal note.
Okay, so video calls. That's the.
It's not the major thing, but every once in a while, when you join a stand-up, don't do it just on audio. It's much better to show up with a face.
Tomislav, just to get to a more tricky part. So when I come with a new project and I ask Tomislav, when can this be done now? What's your estimation process? How do you do estimations? How do you commit to something when you know once you commit, it's set in stone? How does it work?
So first thing, there are more estimations, more than one. So there is a rough estimation. So that's when Luka comes and says, "Oh, we have a potential client. Please take an hour or two, give rough estimation, and so we can give them offer." That takes, I don't know, an hour or two of sliding through clients' list of wishes.
How do you feel when doing that? I mean, is that Do you feel good?
It
Are you good with
sucks.
committing?
Sucky,
Okay.
honestly. but
You're not trying to say something to Luka.
He said it before. I heard it so many times. But tell me, why is it sucky?
yeah, because the client doesn't know what does he want, and actually we have UX phase that serves for that purposes.
Yep.
And these rough estimations are usually before UX. We don't even know if we will get the project, so it's tricky trying to figure out what does client want.
I mean, how precise are these estimations at the end? Do you compare sometimes, or?
Well, yeah, it can be, I don't know, we have minimum and maximum
Yeah.
estimation, and it can vary 30%, something like that. It's that gap is huge. But
So let me just say that again. So you do like minimum estimate and maximum estimate, and you present the project manager with both.
yeah,
And it always falls somewhere in there, right?
yeah, but okay, it goes bigger usually. It goes bigger if we get a project, and
So
when
yeah, so
you-
just our secret, we always take the maximum one, you know. So there's actually no point in you doing the minimum one, but I like the exercise.
Thanks.
Fine.
you. Yeah, and when we do get the project, then actually, yeah, it's easier. Then you are defining the stuff and investigating APIs, and
Yeah.
okay, that part of the job is okay.
But we
I
also
like
make
that
some
part.
mistakes there. Dino, you know about mistakes. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the guy for mistakes. Okay?
No, but we've had some projects, I mean, one of which I mentioned, where we basically didn't estimate it correctly. I mean, what are the typical problems in that estimation process that you maybe cannot predict in the beginning?
Well, it's never our fault. I need to say that. No, it's there are a lot of unknown stuff, like communication with client. He changes requests. He doesn't know what he wants at the beginning. When he sees it, he doesn't want it, so he wants something else.
API
Never heard of
works.
that. Never heard of that.
API, of course. Since we don't do it, it always suck. I don't know.
Integrating
When you-
SDKs, I mean, we had
Yeah,
one.
when we do stuff that we haven't done before, that's really tough to estimate. You don't know what you're getting into, so. But it's usually around maximum estimation. So.
Or above. Okay, so estimation's done. We start working. How does that work? I mean, what's a part of your daily routine? You guys do code reviews in your team. I know you guys do as well. What do you check in code reviews? What's most important to you? Okay, maybe Shima, to you. What's the most single important thing in the code review that you check?
Everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
No, I'm not kidding.
Okay, maybe not. Tomislav, you.
everything.
Now, okay. What are top three things that you guys check in a code review?
Well, basically, readability is the first thing that I check, and that considers naming conventions, structuring of the code, size of the methods. Basically, I try to enforce clean code, and when I say enforce, I mean enforce clean code. So nothing that's not clean is not going to develop branch or master branch. So that's one part of the picture. The other part is the actual logical structure of the code. So since we are working in a specific environment, in a project that's very, very large, and there are parts of the code that even I'm not familiar with, but they work so. We need to take special care in making things stupid simple. So everything needs to be very, very verbose. I tend to write long names if necessary. I'm not afraid if I have
But
big name.
that all sounds cosmetics, like pure cosmetics. I mean, do you guys actually take time and read the code, what it does?
Yep. But it's basically all a part of the same picture, because readability also is tied with good design and with good logical structure of classes and packages and encapsulation. Basically, all object-oriented principles. So I said, we look at everything.
Yeah. Tomislav, I mean, you as a senior guy, how much time do you spend per day looking through other people's code?
Well, it gets sometimes to, I don't know, 2 hours, something like that.
A day?
Yeah, the time. Yeah. Something less, but if I'm get lazy and I don't watch pull requests for, I don't know, sometime 2 days, then it gets ugly.
For you or for them?
Both.
Dino, I mean, what was this? I mean, Dino, you've come here. I mean, you've come to FIVE as a student, basically, just on a summer practice internship. You've managed to survive for what, 2.5 years now?
Yeah.
Almost 3 years now. I mean, what was your first thing that you were? I mean, when you came, you know, when you saw the first code reviews, I mean, what did you learn then? I mean, what was your experience with the code reviews? Did that help? Was that a burden? What's your feeling about that?
I don't think we did code reviews back then, but it was practice that I would write something, then my senior would come and he would look at it and that's it.
But did you learn anything out of it? I mean, was it useful or is it just part of the still stupid process that someone made up? And
Code review made a huge difference because our team got on the same page. We are now writing similar code. That's really good when you need to read someone else's code. So
can you recognize your code now?
Yeah, maybe. But Shime said it's different in our core team because we work on different projects, multiple projects at the same time. So it's hard to check some logical stuff behind the pull request because you don't know the application that much. You don't know what it needs to be done.
So how's it done? So you check the code of a different application that you're not working on?
Yeah.
They check yours?
Yeah, but you check the simple stuff, then senior on that project checks for.
But we force everybody to look at every pull request. Maybe not actively, but the students and the junior developers can learn a lot of.
So is code review like a method of learning people?
Yeah, and it happens that we got into discussion on a pull request, like on Index Hire forum, something like this.
Chatniks.
Yeah. No. But yeah, yeah.
On smaller projects, code reviews are really a great way to introduce young developers, juniors, or new developers. They can be seniors into the code. But on larger projects, from my experience, we also needed to get them a head start by introducing them with the big picture before they actually start the code, because we had some situations where juniors would just be lost for a couple of days and then code review would be there and it was like so it's a combination. On a large project you need to give them something before they start so they actually know just about the environment that they are moving through, so they can actually do something that is useful.
Okay, but they don't have to write something. I think it's useful just to see the maybe a code from some older colleagues.
Yeah, that's the second part. That's the learning part of the code reviews, which is a great way to open different discussions and point out some problems with the code, not only from juniors but from other seniors. Because although beware of reviewing seniors' code because it can be tricky if you are not a tech lead.
Why?
So
Ego thing or?
Well, once I had a senior developer.
A friend. You had a friend.
Luckily, he was 9,000 miles away from me. I don't know for who it was lucky, but better than I do. So basically, we had a team with 5-6 seniors, and all of them, the code style of all of them was pretty much okay. But one guy who was a really smart guy actually had a coding style that was his naming conventions were I've never seen that before or after. So I was like, first time I saw it, I was like,
what did you do?
So since I'm a people's person, I try to nicely talk to him. And I started a discussion in a way that I wanted to realize what's his reasoning behind all this mumble jumble. Yes, and
Was there any?
yeah, but it was very stupid. And I'm free to say that because I try to bring him my opinion on it and try to point out the problems, but he just wouldn't listen, and it didn't turn out good. So
What do you mean?
unfortunately, we just had an argument. It wasn't productive, so it wasn't something spectacular.
Yeah.
But there was no point in discussing that with him, unless if you are a tech lead, then you just enforce it.
Yeah.
At that time, I wasn't a tech lead.
Okay.
So beware of coding style discussions and flames because it's not productive. The real problems that you want to point out to seniors, because seniors do tend to have a big ego, are the logical problems and the obvious problems in architecture or their solutions. And coding style is, don't touch it if you're not a tech lead.
Oh, well, we have a Android Studio has a pretty decent prettifier, so just run it here and there.
For a Hungarian notation Java
Yeah, okay.
script name with 4 prefixes, it's not. It doesn't work.
Okay, some easier topics. Just to go back to the estimations. I mean,
No. I'm kidding, yeah.
no. But we have some good examples. Come on.
No, we are getting better and better.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not go into there. But just just one other topic that I want to talk about. You know, the speed of a developer. The speed of a development. Do you take that into account? I mean, is Dino 0.9 Homans and Homan is 1.5 Shimes or whatever?
Well, actually, in this last project, project manager did include some speeds.
Do you agree with that? I mean,
Junior was 0.5 of senior.
Yeah.
I don't know where he
came up
did
with it.
pull. Yeah,
I mean, he has some Jira data. I don't know. Maybe.
probably not. But we'll see.
I mean, does that
We'll
work?
see.
Is that a valid assumption, or I mean?
Yeah, the project is at its beginning, so we'll see.
Okay.
But I think it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but when we are estimating, we are obviously estimating for ourselves. I don't know what speed the Homan is developing.
I tried to estimate if I were junior.
Really?
well, what's the point of estimating
As a
in
senior.
my speed? Yeah.
Okay. When you won't be
If-
doing.
if
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
won't be
get it.
doing
Yeah,
the
you won't be
project,
doing
yeah.
the project. Yeah. Okay. 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 How does QA work? I mean, how often do you send QA builds? When is the QA involved in the project?
Well, they should be early on, as early as possible.
Okay, but realistically.
Realistically, when they have few screens to see, and before important milestones, before the app goes to the client, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, they do regression tests before every release.
Do you have one dedicated QA? How do you communicate with him? Do you send him builds? Does he do his own builds?
Well, the idea was that they make their own builds. But in practice, it happens that I push the button on the build server and he gets the URL
To download
the
it.
APK. He
Yeah.
downloads it
And what about design? I mean, how do you guys work with design?
So we introduced a new tool called Zeppelin. It's pretty cool because it gives you all specification right away. So we just bug them until they're done. So we implement that, then they bug us it's wrong. So we change that, and it's a continuous effort.
Yeah, I like to sit with them down in their office. Not because they're more cool. They aren't. But I like to sit down there and like bug them around. So is this okay? Nah, no.
And animations? How do you do animations? Do they export like each frame, or do you just specify each
No.
movement, or do you try to copy it from their slowed video, or how does it work?
It depends on from the designer to designer. And Andre, our design lead, he did animations in Flash with frames and everything. The others don't. So they explain it, and then I make the animation, and we are tweaking it. And that's about it.
Is that the fun part, or the...
That's actually cool, yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Just to interrupt for a bit, just not to get too deep into the discussion. Any comments, any poking, probing? Yeah.
Yeah, basically you mentioned before that you said it as a speed. So in the terms of team efficiency, and do you have some kind of tools, internal KPIs, reporting system to tracking how your guys are efficient?
Can I answer that? I mean, we tried. I mean, we tried pushing that, and there are some teams which are using some specific tools, but we tried. Right now, we're just doing Jira, tracking hours in Jira, and doing analysis afterwards. So far, we haven't done any analysis, but we have the data there. So that tells you something, you know, about the...
If it gets ugly, you will pull out the data.
Yeah, if it gets ugly, we'll pull out the data. So far, it's not ugly, so it works. So it's pretty much, I mean, the guys are pretty good on the estimate, so it's pretty spot on. So there's no need for bringing out the big guns and the data from Jira. Any other?
Do you throw away a code review if you're about to hit the deadline?
Ah.
No.
Okay, thanks. That was it.
But you often have to go to seniors and check my pull request. I need a build. I need a build.
And PM comes and, come on, Homa, do that code review.
We're waiting for you.
Yeah, project manager said, we have to make a release tomorrow. Please sit, look at that code. But it cannot pass. They shall not pass.
Yeah, this one there. Thank you, Ivo.
So when you get a new project, do you use some of your own established frameworks, or do you start from scratch with fresh new ideas?
Great question. I think that's for you, Tomislav.
Yeah. We have some library of our own. We do reuse some stuff like, I don't know, text views that can load fonts and stuff like that. But regarding maybe the setup of the app and the architecture, well, we have some examples on internal Bitbucket that you can like open, study, and try to implement in the new app. You cannot do a template. Okay, you can do a template, but I don't see very much sense in that.
Just is it important for you to keep up with new technologies and new trends in Android?
Yeah. So actually, there was a lecture or a talk about clean architecture. I think that is identical as we have. Just, I don't know, we are pushing RX Java schedulers in presenters, not in use cases. That's a minor difference. But yeah, we try to keep up. We started to use RX Java 2 years ago, something like that.
That doesn't sound like a new technology.
Well,
What about the new stuff? I mean, I know there in iOS teams there are guys experimenting and always bringing in new stuff without asking anyone else.
well,
How does that happen?
in Android team, usually I do it because I
But
can.
you don't have to ask anyone, right? Yeah, so.
I don't have to ask anyone, and if I mess up,
You'll spend the
eat
weekend,
the
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fix it and stay overtime and yeah. But yeah, some experiments, most of them were successful.
Any other questions? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Regarding the estimation, it is said that the better your estimation, it just means that it's the same work as before. So when you're trying a whole new project, getting it a new area, and when your initial estimation is not, it's within factor 2 or something like that, do you are you more inclined to incur technical debt or move the deadline, or force the team to work harder, maybe overtime, or what's your thinking on that?
Well, it's a struggle always. We are, as developers, are trying to make the point about the technical debt. We should refactor. Why don't you move the deadline? I think that we find the middle. But I think that there are not so many deadline movings, I think.
I mean, just to give you a bit of a background, I mean, we had maybe 2 years ago, we did face a lot of those problems. And it would usually end up that we finish on the deadline and then add like 3 more weeks of work on our own where we solve the technical debt and refactor thing just to make sure that when the next version comes, we're good. But we push for the deadline. But maybe when we introduce a new design process, so in a 6-month project, for example, you spend maybe even up to 3 months on the design and then 3 months on development. During those 3 months on the design, the guys do prototypes of technologies, experiment. So that actually decreased a lot of risk, and I don't think we've missed any big deadline in the last 2 years, probably. Yeah, we've had some problems, but those were mostly with APIs but
Yeah,
then we were not to
client
blame, for example. So it was fine.
And yeah, if we do want to do some additional stuff like some cool animations that client actually didn't ask for, but we think that it would be cool and sexy, but we don't have a time. Okay, we maybe take a few days after the deadline, after the app is released, and I don't think we even charge that to the client because, yeah, we want to do that.
How do you get, when it comes to deadlines, okay, deadlines are the first step to getting the trust from the client. I mean, what are other things that you guys do on the calls and on deliveries? What do you find is most important on building a great relationship with the client? Maybe for you, Shime, you've been on a long project now.
Well, first trick is to answer an email at 3 in the morning every once in a while. Or even do a code review if you are not too... I'm a night owl, so it's not a problem for me. So it's nice to have people in US get their response in their afternoon. So, and it works. The other thing is to basically think of a product that you're working on, even if it's for a partner. Think about it as if it's your own product. So when your partners see that you have a sense of ownership, that you continually come up with suggestions for improvement, when you find bugs yourselves, when you are proactive all the time, then they have a bigger trust in your work, and of course the results, the quality of your work over time only encourages them.
I mean, you fought your way from a developer, Android developer, one Android developer, to the team lead, then to the whole project lead, basically, that has US staff under him.
Yeah, well, you just work your best ways.
Yeah, it sounds simple. Okay.
It sounds a bit like a BS.
An example.
But it works.
No,
Yeah.
An example. We just did a release a couple of years ago, and we had
a slow release cycle.
I mean, it's that situation. So we had a release, and the second day, our crash logs were all over the place. US team started their investigation and did come up with some. They isolated the problem, but they didn't find the exact reason. Usually we distribute features or bugs to a single person, and they work on it and then continue to work on it the other day. But since it was a really bad crash, the Croatian team just took over, we investigated the bug further, find the reason, fixed it, and since we have a QA person here who can also do all the regression tests on a release candidate, we basically did the whole cycle. And by the time that the Seattle team came into the office in 9 a.m. in the morning, we had a release candidate ready with a hot patch, with a hot fix and a patch. So those are the kind of things that win the client. They see that you're a part of the team. They understand that, and they see you in the same way as if you were sitting in office in Seattle, because they see that you want the product to succeed and that you appreciate your work in it.
I think we're short of time. Sorry, I think we're short of time. Just one last question. I think it's the last question. I don't know the time. I mean, are we good on time? Just one.
Couple of minutes more.
Couple of minutes more. Thank you. Just for you, Dino. How much time did it take for you to grow to a senior developer? Because you're quite young, despite the beard. I mean, how much time did it take you, to be able to lead your projects, have maybe junior developers with you on the team? What was the learning curve in a company? I mean, you came to us with some Android knowledge, so you weren't.
Yeah, I had a little knowledge. I worked with seniors. They taught me everything. So I don't know. I don't think I'm at their level yet. I'm pretty sure I'm not. But it's not all in technical knowledge. You have to be responsible. You have to have good communication with client, with PMs. You have to worry about the deadlines. You have to get invested in the project. And I don't know, learning curve. It was hard at the beginning, but all these new technologies, everybody has to learn from the start. So it becomes easier and easier, I think.
What's the biggest thing you learned in those 2 years or 3 years now? What's the best lesson that you got out of maybe Tomislav or maybe the PM or maybe me?
Tough question. Definitely not you.
And that's how it's supposed to be. I'm glad.
I really don't know. I mean, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. It's okay to make mistake, but fix it.
Fix it even on Halloween. I remember you that one time that we had a Halloween party in the office, and you were partying with Android Studio, or what was it?
We had a deadline that was hard deadline. The conference was at that date, and application had to go out. So there was a party downstairs, and I was upstairs working the bug. And there were people around me with alcohol, and they were like, "You can do it." I was like, "Shut up!"
So team spirit, I mean, that helped.
Team effort. Yeah, team, go team.
Any more questions from the audience? If not, thank you guys for an interesting discussion. I hope you had a good insight in how these guys think and work, and thank you for coming over.